Hello everyone, this is Tarkuni and welcome to my Electron tutorial. In this video, I will try to explain how you can use ElectronJS with a SQLite database. If you don't know what ElectronJS is, it is a new technology or a relatively new technology that allows you to develop applications, desktop applications for different platforms. And that is really truly a cross-platform technology that you can develop desktop applications with. Especially if you're a web developer, you will really appreciate what ElectronJS offers. It allows you to write desktop applications with JavaScript, CSS, and HTML, and it uses the V8 Java runtime, and Node.js, and so on. You can visit the electron.atom.io to find out more information about this technology. So let's go ahead and start with our tutorial. But first, if you go to, let's say ls, you'll see a SQLite database that I created already, and it looks like something like this. So I'm using the SQL database browser for SQLite. You can download it from internet, and it's free, and it's a very lightweight application that helps you to manage your SQLite databases. And I have a user table here with 2 records in it. So let's go ahead and let's move this over here. So alright, let's go ahead and start with npm. So I'm gonna say npm init, and yes, so it'll create an empty npm package JSON that I can use to download some I'm basically to keep my dependencies in, and so on. So let's go ahead and start with you can use install or I for shortcut to install packages, and I'm just gonna go with the Electron, and I want to save it. So let's actually say save Electron. It's gonna be a save, not save dev, because it will be part of the production as well. So it's not a dev dependency only. So let's go ahead and download it and install it. And also I didn't pass G flag, so it will be a local library. So if I say ls, and if I go in to look at node modules, you'll see what I'm talking about, and you'll see a bunch of packages downloaded along with the ElectronJS, and that actually downloaded its dependencies as well. So you can find where the Electron is somewhere. I guess, let's see, here. Okay, so let's clear. And the second package that I'm going to download is npm install save. It's called Next. Next is, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, but it's another third-party library that you can use to abstract the database layer from your application. So let me actually go ahead and show you that website real quick. Next.js, and that's a SQL Builder a library that you can use here. So you can use it with those databases listed here. And the good thing is, though, when you need to change your database, you don't have to change your code. You can just point to a different database, that underlying database technology, and this time I will be using SQLite. Of course, it offers you like a pure JavaScript to create SQL queries, also manage your database schema, and so on. It's very nice. It also gives you methods and stuff so that you can use you can use promises and so on to easily query your database and see the results and so on. It's very nice one. So I'll just move this over here. Okay, so we downloaded that. So, and this, by the way, if you look at the package.json file, you'll see that we have Next version .13 and Electron version 1.6.6. So let's go ahead and download the rest of the packages that we need. And the other package is going to be npm I save, of course, SQLite. And we're choosing SQLite3. Okay, so it's, I guess, almost done. Okay, so so far it's good, but of course, if you run this like this, I mean, if you develop your code and run it, you will see some problems. So in order to fix that, we need to take a small approach, small fix here. And what I'm gonna do, I'll download another package called Electron Rebuild. So let's go ahead and download it. And that's gonna be a save dependency. And let's say Electron Rebuild. Now, let's look at the package.json real quick, and we'll see that our Electron Rebuild dev dependency is there. But we're not really done yet, so what we're going to do is to update the package.json with Nano. You can use any text editor you like, but this time what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a couple new settings here. So the first one will be under scripts. We're going to add start, and that will actually do like Electron. So when I say npm start, it will run Electron. And the dot means use main script, so the main setting here, which is index.js, and it will use index.js to start. So the second one, under the same location, I'm just gonna say rebuild, and that rebuild means we'll actually have to rebuild our project so that it works with SQLite properly. So just use the same settings, same options and stuff I used here, and you'll be fine. Of course, I haven't tried this on Windows. You may not have to do this on Windows, but on my I'm using Mac, and the latest Mac OS, which is OS Sierra, and I had to do this, but yeah, go ahead and check it out on Windows and see if you need it. So let's save this since we're done here. Now what I'm gonna do is let's run the npm rebuild. Alright, so it'll take a while. Well, it was quick, so that's great. Alright, so I think we're pretty much done here. So let's clear this out, and now we can write our code. So let's say touch.js, and that's going to be our main thing, and I'm going to use code editor, which is a Microsoft Visual Studio Code, a free alternative for writing codes and stuff, and a free alternative to Sublime Text. And it's very nice though, you'll like it when you use it. So let's say index, actually I'm gonna open this entire directory in code. So I may need to make things a little bit bigger for you to see properly, so I guess it's pretty much good. So let me make this bigger. Alright, so my index.js is here. By the way, a quick tip, if you don't see your icons here, you can install icons. So what I'm going to do is say install. Actually, I should have used it here. So if you say VS icons or something, yes, VS Code icons, and you can just install this, and that will help you to enable icons for folders and whatnot. So let's go to this, and about the window, you don't see it, but I see it. I can say file icon theme, and I'm gonna use VS icons, and now I can see the icons here, and that makes it visually more appealing and better to see, since you can see what the extension or the type of the file with the icons. All right, so let's go back Actually, let's go back, and I'm just gonna copy a piece of code here that I developed before, so that we don't spend too much time writing and typing things. So I'm just gonna copy this code here. Oops, sorry. Let's see. Okay. So this is the first code that it's basically, let me make this a little bit bigger. So as you see, I'm using IPC main browser window and app objects from the injected Electron library, and I'm also using next module, so Electron module and next module, and the next module already returns a function that you can pass in as some configuration object, and I say, use SQLite3, and then the connection is file name, and this is the connection. It's very simple configuration, and returns an object that you can use in the next variable. So here, when our application is ready, it looks like, same concept really. I mean, if you have worked with browsers and jQuery or any JavaScript on browsers, you probably know what I'm talking about here. So when the application is ready, I'm passing a callback, and this time I'm passing an arrow function, which is a new thing in ECMAScript 6. And I'm using let keyword again, which is a new thing in ECMAScript 6, and that helps me to minimize the scope of the variables that are variables. So we create a new browser window. Browser windows are good so that we can, so here in ElectronJS you have like two processes. The first process is called main process, and it doesn't have any UI. And the second process is called render process, and that has a UI. So when you want to show something to your users, you have to use the render process. And one way to activate that is to use browser window. What that allows you to basically show it initiate main window.show. You can say, okay, this is my window where there will be some GUI, like graphical user interface I'm talking about. So I say load URL. You can use any type of URLs. Here in this case I'm using a local file which is called main.html, and that will have my UI related code with it, which is like HTML and CSS and so on. As I told you before, ElectronJS allows you to use the familiar web technologies like JavaScript and CSS and HTML, and you're seeing what I'm talking about. So also I'm telling it like the which URL it should load, and I also say if it once ready to show something, that means like it's it's ready to render, so that we don't have the gap between. So if you don't have this event, if you don't use this event, when you open the window, you may see a blank, like a white screen for a while, which may be a couple seconds, and then everything will just pop up. You don't want that. You wanna just like give a truly a native desktop experience to your customers or to your users. And when I say events ready to show, go ahead and run this code, which is main window.show, and that will just show the our window without any gap in between. And so here, let's actually go ahead and before we explain this guy over here, let's go ahead and copy our another file, and that will be our, of course, main HTML. So what I'm gonna do, I'll just create a new file, and it's called main.html. I already have the code I wrote before, so I'm just gonna use the same code. Let's say raw. Okay, so let's paste it over here. All right, so I have this code, and so what we see here, let me say this, so what's happening here, let me explain this first. So we basically, when the window is ready, we basically show this main.html file, and that main.html has some script in its script tag, and that says, okay, so we basically get the require electron object module, and from the electron module we use the IPC renderer. So the IPC renderer and IPC main are two important objects that allows us to pass information between different processes, and simply IPC stands for inter-process communication. So when the DOM is ready, that means like I can access to every tag in the document without any null argument exception or object not found exceptions type of things. I'm saying go ahead and send an event. So I simply like fire a new event, which is a custom event I just created, and it says main window loaded. That means my window is ready to render things. And then what I'm doing here is I'm listening to that event. And when the event is fired, I say, okay, go ahead and get the first name from database, but from which table, and that is the user table. And as you see, it's pretty like a fluent API. I can say select, I want to select this, and from where, from users, great, and that returns a query. And I need to, so what I'm doing here is I'm using promises and stuff, and I say promises and stuff, and I say, okay, when it's done, go ahead and get the, I'm passing a callback function so that it can pass, the actual data, which is the rows here. And when I say, and what I say here is, okay, and get the, send another, I'm sending another event, or simply firing another event, and that's results sent event. You can give whatever name you like. And so I'm listening to the same event in our main HTML and right here. So this is first goes from the so event architecture. If you look at this from this example, it first goes from the render process, or let's say main HTML, to the main file or index file, and from index file to back to main HTML. And I'm listening to that, the same event results, and then you see that I'm using IPS on both sides. There's different things, like here is IPC main, and here is just IPC render. That's the difference, and they do have, they know what context I'm in, because they're different objects really. Okay. So, and here I'm getting the document get element by ID. It's very familiar JavaScript code on browsers, and I'm getting the this tag over here, and I also like output the console, the results to the console, and with a simple loop, I'm just saying, get me whatever, like all the let's actually move this a little bit right, and say inner HTML. I'm accessing the inner HTML property of the results element, which is this tag over here, and I'm saying the first name, and the results is the rows that came from this, and that's just an array, object array, and I'm simply accessing the each items in the array, and they return an object, and the object has the first name because this is what I used in my table, and the first name, I access the first name and get the to string to to convert it to string, and now I append a br so that I can put a break between different different data on the UI. Of course, you can use like jQuery or any other, or AngularJS, any other view related JavaScript library to make things easier for you, but in this example I didn't need that. So since everything is done, let's go ahead and run this project. And what I'm gonna do, let's say npm start, and that will do everything for me. Okay, so we got an exception here, and that says, okay, so let's go ahead and fix it. It says, let's go ahead and say npm install. For some reason it failed. Install save, and that's what we did. I guess we SQLite3 and save. I don't know, it should have been working properly. Let's say this first, and then I will say rebuild again to make sure that it's working properly. Okay, so let's say npm rebuild. But before that though, let's make sure that we use this the proper code. Let's see, package the JSON, rebuild. Actually, let me really quick. Let me check. Less package JSON. Electron rebuild. We have this rebuild here. Electron rebuild f w and SQLite. I think that's pretty much correct. Okay, so let's say npm run rebuild. I think I should have said npm run rebuild. Previously I said npm rebuild and that it failed. Now it should be working fine. Yeah, it'll take a short while. It's not gonna be long, even though it doesn't really update the progress. Okay, now it's done. And now by the way, that was the error that you were gonna see when you didn't do what I just did, like when you didn't rebuild your Electron again. So that's the error you'll see, which is good though. I mean, I'm glad that it failed so that you could see the actual error, that the one that I'm talking about. All right, so let's go ahead and say npm start this time, and let's see if and let's hope that it will work this time. And yes, so as you see, I'm getting the she's my wife, and I'm getting those two names from the database. I think I didn't update the database properly, so I'm still getting the old data. I actually changed the data, but anyways, so this is what it is. And you see, if I do this, of course, I'll just have this. I also see some warnings here, but that's all right. So quickly, let's apply a really small CSS here to make it look better. So I'm gonna use Inline Css, so I'm gonna use style. And as you see, you have this code completion on Visual Studio Code. And when I say like font size, so let's make it a little bigger. Let's say 17 pixels, and color I want to use, let's say, red. I think that's pretty much all. And so let's try it again and see how that looks like. And so that will show you how you can use CSS in your... Oh, I should have... Let's go back and see what was the problem. Style... Didn't I save it? Okay. Now we see the change, and you can even make it. You can make it even bigger. So I'm just gonna use something like, so make it a little bigger, and you can also change the background color. So if you look at the body, for instance, if you say style, and let's say background color, right, and let's make it, I don't know really, let's say, I think that looks good. So I've saved this time, and let's go back and start it. And as you see, it looks great. I think that's pretty much all. So that's how you use Electron and SQLite together. And you can also you see more information about the next library, which is an awesome library that I'm sure that you'll like it. You can also see different, you can like combine, you can create queries easily using the JavaScript without really using any SQL queries here. And for instance, you can say next table, insert, and the type of objects or data that you want to insert, and returning and stuff like that. And you can also see how you can get specific columns. You can also use aggregate functions and pretty much everything really. And you can use where clauses. And the good thing is that query builder is you can build your query as you go. So for instance, like if you look here, say next where and select SQL, and if you go, for instance, you can have like have different where clauses here, and I think that's pretty much all that I want to show you today. All right, guys. I hope it's a useful tutorial for you, and go ahead and like it or subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions, just drop them on the comment section below. And see you next time.